He also did engraving, which is done on a copper plate. We've mentioned that before, but in engraving it's different. It's not a relief process. It's like a rubber stamp. It is something different. We call it an intaglio, Intaglio. Intaglio is done on a metal plate, usually copper, and the copper plate are cut many lines. These lines are cut with a diamond-shaped sharpened tool called a burin. It is a little wooden fob with a rod, diamond shape, which is sharpened on the end. This is kind of shoved through the plate the way a plow is shoved through the earth, and it creates a little curlicue of copper. So you're cutting a V-shaped groove in the copper plate. So these V-shaped grooves are down below the surface of the plate. After all the lines are cut, the plate is inked. That is a rolled up piece of felt squishes the ink into all the grooves that have been cut. Then the plate is wiped clean again with a a ball of cheesecloth until the copper is all shiny and clean again, except for the ink that remains down in the cut lines. This is engraving. It is an intaglio process. The printing then, the plate is put with the inked plate. The inked and wiped plate is placed on a bed of a press, which can apply enormous pressure through a roller. So the bed moves and is rolled like an old washing machine, sort of rolled under that roller under tremendous pressure. So there's the plate, there's the piece of dampened paper that is soaked for hours or possibly overnight, and then blotted dry again. This makes the paper pliable. And then about 2 or 3 layers of felt, and it's passed under the press. This felt and all this tremendous pressure distorts the paper, forces it into the grooves to pick up the ink. It is peeled off of the plate on the other end, and you get an engraving. You can make, because it's copper metal, you can make many impressions before the plate begins to degrade. He uses the parallel hatching, like in pen and ink drawing, with great skill, very skilled in the use of the burin. He also is restating really the classical proportions of the human figure, such as he has made actually he makes 2 trips in his life to Italy, and he has learned about the classical proportions, which northern artists were largely ignorant of before Dürer. Another print by Dürer called Melancholia 1, many symbols and tools of the scientist, the artist laid about. Precise interpretation is difficult with this print, but it may represent the dilemma of the artist in integrating all the tradition of the North with his new knowledge of pictorial science and so on from Italy. His painting the Four Apostles can be seen as supporting the new Protestant Reformation by diminishing the role of Peter, moving him to the background, and also this is classical proportion in these figures, in painting of these figures using the canons of classical proportion. He also he's also the Leonardo of the North in terms of his scientific specificity of this large turf, a piece of turf that he digs up and brings back to the studio and waters and keeps alive, and paints this beautiful watercolor. And gouache is a form of watercolor with Chinese white chalk to make it opaque. So that would have been used in some of the lighter tones, the highlighting. But the sense that every stalk of every plant has um, modeling or shading on it, and that a botanist can actually identify all the plant species. So this is, in a way, the beginnings of botanical illustration that would be so important in the 18th century. So a very scientific understanding of the plants and the structures of the flowers and the stalks and the leaves. Also, his little painting of a hare. So, the sense that you can see every hair, every fiber, um, and this exact rendering of surface detail, as well as the form and the anatomy of the animal. Another one of his studies of a wing of a bird, wing of a roller, the precise textures of feathers, and the coloration. Well, Albrecht Dürer. One of his watercolors of an iris.